thank you everyone for showing up today. We appreciate you coming to listen to Stacy give us some insight on the changes that are coming up with payroll with GP, and to get a little bit of insight into their HRP system. So with that, I'll hand it over to Stacy and let her get into it.
Great. Everybody can see my first screen. I just want to make sure, just an introduction. Thank you for attending. My name is Stacy Patarelli, and I am the sales growth specialist here at Integrity Data. I handle the GP side of things. So I am excited to talk about the announcement that Microsoft is sending out, and your partner. Really simple process, nothing you guys are worried about because your partner has your back actually on this one. I've already talked to Brittany a lot about this, so she has done everything for you, but we'll talk about it so you can know what's going on. Okay. Okay, so just quick agenda. We're going to do an introduction of Integrity Data. We're going to go over the Dynamics GP Extended and HR Payroll announcement that was made. Then I'm going to talk briefly about our new solution, Integrity Data HRP solution. I'm going to go over the screenshots about each piece that was in the HRP. You know, please, during this demo, ask questions. If you don't want to interrupt, put it in chat. We'll go through it. I love to hear, you know, if this was a cool feature that you saw, or if this is something, you know, you would love to have implemented. All positive is great, but anything that you need to ask on top of it regarding, you know, can it do this? Ask away. That's what we're here for today. I'll go into a little bit about our customer experience, and then how you can connect with Integrity Data besides just the general phone number and website. And then we can do some Q&A. Okay, so let's get started. All right, introduction. So if you guys don't already know, we're Integrity Data. We've been in business for 25 years. What does that mean? We've been working with Microsoft, before it was Microsoft, Great Plains, for 25 years. We've been working with them closely around the GP payroll module. We have been, and I say that closely because originally some of the solutions that we'll be talking about that will be now here at Integrity Data are the ones that we created for Microsoft. So it's kind of a natural fit that we're still doing the code. We're still making sure if any enhancement needs to be done, that we have those solutions now back in house. And our experience in payroll, we still have people in this business, or I should say on our payroll, would that say, for still 25 years. My boss, Bobby, who is a developer, he started out in the garage with Integrity Data. Of course, now that we have an office, it's nice to have his support and experience, and then our customer support experience. Some of you might have already talked to some of our team members here. Jill is one of our GP support team. She's great to have on our team, especially too, because she's also have experience with Canadian payroll. We don't sell Canadian payroll at the moment, but she does have that experience if you do need some questions that need to be asked. So it's nice to have that experience on our team. So what I want to talk about right now is around our Microsoft payroll extensions announcements. Now, this is really a simple page, so I'm just going to talk to it. So ask questions as we come along, please. So effective March of 2022, yes, it's only 3 months away. It's hard to believe that it's only 3 months and we're going to be in 2022 in less than 2 weeks. Come March of 2022, the products that you have today, GP payroll extension, HR and payroll suite, will now be part of Integrity Data. And to make it really in simple in terms, just kind of put a picture in your mind. It was on Microsoft paper. Now it's going to be on Integrity Data paper. So when you reach out to your partner, when you reach out to Brittany and say, hey, Brittany, I do want PTO manager now. She'll come to us and say, how much does that cost? Instead of going to Microsoft. Really simple, nothing along that lines. Okay, nothing you need to do because Brittany has your back. Believe me, we've been talking, like I said, for some time. The other thing is Microsoft will support you until March of 2023. So Microsoft still has your back as a client with Microsoft. They want to make sure that you have that support for 1 year still when this transition happens. So if you have deduction and arrear question, they're still going to support you and your partner along that lines. They're not going to say, no, you have to go to integrity data. Nope, we'll still support you. Yes, they might come to us and ask us some questions because of the code that we have, but we're all working as a team to make sure that this transition is smooth for all of you. So the question is, how does it kind of affect you? When your partner is doing your enhancement renewal, if you have an enhancement renewal after March, that will be from integrity data. We are not changing any pricing regarding what Microsoft has today. So if you have GP payroll extensions, that is included in your GP payroll, that's still going to be free of charge. If you have the HR or payroll suite modules, those have always been an add-on, an extra charge. The charge that Microsoft charges you will be charging you today. We'll take the current list price and we'll charge you the same price. So nothing's going to change. The only thing that you'll see is that you might not even see it because Dynamics will be doing in the background. They'll be working with us to make sure you stay current on your enhancement plan like you have been doing with Microsoft going forward. So what do you need to do and why? You don't need to do anything. You have the best partner right now who's done everything for you. Okay. Brittany and I, like I said, has been working closely. She gave me your names. We're making sure that we stay in or stay connected to make sure if there are anybody if there are any of her clients that are after March, we just make sure. Or if anybody wants to add any additional modules, she knows how to reach out to me. One thing, let me just mention to you, if you do want to add any additional modules, they would be under our subscription pricing, and we'll talk about that later. But if you currently own anything, we're grandfathering you into our the Microsoft Legacy annual pricing. So nothing changes. So don't listen to all this out there. Just listen to all this nice thing. Your Dynamics partner is doing a wonderful job making sure that this transition is smooth or seamless, I should say, that you can, you're still going to use your software. Nothing is changing. Nothing. The only great thing is changing is that the software that you currently use, maybe the deductions in arrear, you might see some more enhancements along the lines because now we're taking a closer look at maybe what needs to be added into the solution or something like that. And we do have other solutions that you might want to take a look at too. We do have an FAQ page. I encourage you to keep asking the FAQs because we add them to this page daily. But then again, your partner is there to support you with FAQs and they can send them over to me and we'll work together to make sure that you're comfortable with everything moving forward. Okay. So right here where it says register and download, just smile right now to Brittany and say, thank you for taking care of me. She has taken care of you and making sure that you're all set and you are all set going forward with this transition. I kind of look at it as like we rented some code to Microsoft. They don't want to rent anymore. So we decided we'll just be the person taking care of it now. Kind of just look at it as that. Nothing really major. Here I'm going to talk about integrity data HRP, our entire employee lifecycle. As you can see, this wonderful wheel that we created, and in my, I'm going to backspace again. In my eyes, it kind of looks like, if you're old like me, it kind of looks like Trivia Pursuit. If you ever played that game, I'm like, oh, that looks like Trivia Pursuit. What piece of pie do I need today to add to my circle here? So we started off with this entire process by saying we need an applicant onboarding solution. There is not one out there in the market right now that can take care of that whole onboarding to offboarding. So our HRP solution starts with the applicant onboarding, and I will show you some screenshots around that. And then what it also does is manage your HR. So this will be your total HR location where you're adding everything from certifications, information regarding the employee when they add on, when the employee actually starts an application. You can see that as an HR. Maybe they're just quickly clicking on a QRC code to actually apply for the position, but they don't finish it. You will see that in the application. We also have the time entry. You use GP payroll now, so that's already there. Employee self-service, we'll be talking about that. Tax filing compliance. The one great thing also about this is it's a one solution from Integrity Data. You don't need to go to another place to get the time entry or another place to get the employee self-service. It's all here within Integrity Data. We will take care of you for this whole circle. So let's talk a little bit about recruiting and HR. As I mentioned, it's a complete employee lifecycle management. So here is a screen for HR. This is an HR screen. This is the dashboard that the HR will see. As an HR person, you're able to see everything that you want to see on here. Remember, when you see these screens, they are custom, or I should say, you can, I'm like lost in my words there. You can define them the way you want as a business. So if you don't want to see something, you don't have to see it. You make sure that you are able to view what you want to see. And that's also for the employee or manager. Maybe you don't want a manager or an employee to see something. As your business, it's the way you want them to view it. So on this screenshot, hopefully you can see it because I know it's tiny, this is where we talked about where the applicant is applying for a position. So you can see that the applicant is applying for this job. It's Steve, what he's applying for. Okay. And then as you go through this, you're going to see at his application when he's onboarding. Okay. So once he's accepted the applicant, and that's, you know, one part of the thing where he's been hired, you say, okay, you're hired, you send back emails back and forth. You're prepping him and bringing him on board. And you can see every step of the way what is happening to that person as they're onboarding to your company. You can also do online performance reviews. You can track certifications and licensing. I have one company who actually needs to make sure when they apply for the application that they have to put their certification in during the application process. So on that screen, they can do an attachment that allows them to say, yes, I am eligible to do this job. Here's my certification. Because within that applicant process, that person, if they don't attach that certification, their application will kind of end there until they put that certification in there. So that's a nice little feature about applicants. So if you do have to have certifications before they can apply, you can do that in the applicant process. And also maybe you just want to know too, as an HR, who reports to who, what their phone numbers are. You have that to do that organizational chart and reporting available. And especially reporting, as I mentioned that. If you want to make sure, you know, you need an audit list. Those are the biggest things that people are like, oh, the auditors are coming in. I need an audit list. Simple. Let's just do a report right here. There's also one that you can do a report on. Maybe you want to do birthday list, everybody's birthday that's coming up, and make sure that you have, you know, an email saying happy birthday, we love you here at the company. You can do a report on that. But there are 44 reports in the system. If you do not see a report, it's very easy to manipulate. And when I shouldn't say the word manipulate, to add to a report. So say if I do love this absent type report, but I want to add more, you go to one screen and you just say, okay, let's add this, this, and that. And then you have a new report and you can save that as a favorite report. Very simple. The next one I want to talk about is time entry. So there is a dashboard. This dashboard that you're going to see right now is more around HR or a manager view per se. And you can see who punches in and who punches out. So you're able to see and track every employee within the company if you wish to, or maybe you just want to do it by department, you may do that too. Very easy to do. It's not customized, so you don't have to ask your partner to say, hey, you know, can you customize this? Nope. You go back into the HR administration screen and you say, I do not want this person to see that. Simple as that. Something you can do on your own. You don't have to keep going back and forth. If you're the type of company that wants to do scheduling to make sure that you're, where everybody's scheduling, you can have that option within the system. Also, you can look at the time management. So if you want to see who is actually clocking in, how much time they have, maybe PTO, look at the schedule, you have that view in the system. And that can be based on a manager or HR, how you want to handle it in your system. This is one of my favorites. I don't know why, because I've never ever had been in an area where I had to clock in. But like, say, for an instance, somebody is running late to get to a client and they need to go get some coffee and they clock in from over here where coffee is, but you want them to really clock in once they're in this location. They can do that with their geofencing location. And we've really tested this out, and you can do it, like, I think, to the spot where you're at the parking lot and they have to check in right near the door. So you can definitely, determine how much of a radius that you want to do that at. Maybe during Christmas, you expand it a little bit so they can go get that coffee. Next, I wanted to talk about is payroll. You guys all are using GP payroll today. Some of the things that you might not know about integrity data, like I mentioned, how you're using GP payroll extensions, the HR suite and the payroll suite is products that we have developed over the years with Microsoft. So PTO Manager, that is a product that we developed with Microsoft. Microsoft is, sold it back then. Now it's coming back to us. The other product that we have internally, is our comprehensive leave manager. So PTO would be that basic solution that you use today. You can go up to 2 accruals, but maybe you need 3 accruals. That's when you would want to use our comprehensive leave manager. You can do up to unlimited accruals. You could have many different rules than you're using PTO manager today. So it's kind of another option that you have around accruals. One of our other famous solution, which is a really great plugin, is our negative payroll transaction. Just one step to make a payroll correction and adjustments within GP payroll. But as you can see on this screen, we have many different plugins and solutions that you can use to help GP payroll. Now into the employee self-service. So as you can see, this screen right here is another dashboard. It kind of looks similar to the HR, but a lot of things are shut off so an employee cannot see. And like I said, this is something that you can decide what you want your employee to see. So if you just want the employee to see announcements and that's it, that's all they need to see. If you just want the employee to see what their certifications is and not their licenses, you can do that. It's up to you. If you're using time clock, this is where they could time in. They could time in from a laptop if you have it. But if you're like my son or my children who don't even know what a laptop is and use everything from their phone, they could clock in from their phone. And as an employee, they could dive a little bit deeper from that dashboard page and say, well, wait a minute, let me see what my compensation is. Like me asking my son, what are you making right now? I'm not sure he knows, even though he's an hourly employee, but he's working, right? He could be really smart and be like, I'm going to show my mother up and be like, I'm going to click on my compensation and be like, yeah, mom, I make $11.50 an hour. Be like, oh, he really knows it. So that's good. So yes, you can show, he can go in here and see what his compensation is. Sorry. He can see if he has to do any certificates or anything like, but if your company is not based on this, you tailor it the way that you want to do it. So if they don't need licenses or certifications, you just say, nope, we're not going to show that to them. They don't see that. Okay. And then they can go into and change W-4s. They can look at their pay history. Maybe they're going to buy a car this weekend and they want to see if they can afford a Tulsa. And if they can't afford a Tulsa, maybe they got to go down to the Honda Civic. So they're able to kind of see what their pay history is. And they don't have to go to you as an HR person and say, can I have my earning statements? Because now I need to show that car dealership, my last 2 pay histories. They can do that. One less email for HR to do it. You can also do expense reimbursements in the system if you want to. Here, the screen that we're looking at, we just talked about the pay history. So here they could see what their pay history is, and then they could click on here to have their earnings statements. They can also request time off here in the system. So if you need time off, you could do that. And when you request a time off, depending on how you want to do workflow, you could have it workflow to your manager, or it could go directly to HR, or maybe the manager is out, so you have it directed to HR that week so that HR person can actually do that demo. Do that approval for you. And you can see if it's pending or not pending as an employee on that front screen where I showed you that dashboard. You can see, yes, you sent it, and has it got approved yet? Then also here we talk about online benefit enrollment. So when that person is onboarding, or maybe it's time for enrollment time, like it is now within my company, you can go through each step and make sure that you've acknowledged, yes, I don't need medical, but I still need to go to 4 and just say, nope, I'm declining medical, or I'm declining dental. At least you've done each step and say, okay, which paper, like you go through an email and say, did I fill out this form? Did I send this form? It's all done right here in the system for that employee. And like I mentioned, it was designed for mobile first design here that we have. This is a quick screen view of what the mobile would look like. A little bit different from the dashboard because we are looking at our phone. But you can see that May is looking at her phone and she's looking to say, hey, I want to time in. She can still see her certificates and licensing. Sorry, I'll go back. So that would be a view that they would see. But then again, maybe you don't want them to see this. If you don't, and you just want to see their time clock, that's what they would see. We offer GP tax filing. We offer where you can do verification, formatting, data analysis. The next enrollment will probably be around April 1st because we like to do that at the start of the quarter. So that's a nice feature to have also in that wheel. The other thing, top of everybody's mind right now, okay, ACA, I got to get this filed. I don't want to get that heavy penalty. I want to make sure that everything's in, especially during COVID. A lot of your part-timers might be not working part-time. They might be working 40 hours. Did we track that correctly? Are we making sure that they are eligible for what they need to be eligible for, and we do not get a penalty for that? Top of the mind, that is something that we can incorporate today, even if you do not, or I should say, do not start the employee life cycle. We could get ACA up and running for you as a GP employee today. That is an option that we can do. And then once you employ ACA, we have those standard reports in there to help you manage that. But this is something that you're interested, we could start it today if you wanted to, because that is something that is needed right now. So our customer experience, as you go through this journey, you're going to look through what happens in that customer. You want to make sure the employee feels everything is great. People, when they go onto a company, they usually say, oh my God, that experience was great. It was simple. It was easy. Onboarding was great. I filled out the application. I saw a QRC code. Maybe at a stadium right now with football going on, maybe they say they're hiring for, the stands or whatever. Great. They did through a QRC code. They were accepted. They were hired. They went on board. The W-2s were easy. Everything was right there. You want to make sure that this journey for them is smooth and seamless. So when they're coming on board, they're not saying, well, I didn't fill out my W-2s. You can't start yet. Everything is there for them just to make sure that each part of the journey is a pleasant one. Regarding testimonials, this one that I have in both of them is around Business Central. Your partner actually works with you as a GP customer, but also will work with you as your BC. If you decide that you want to go from GP to BC, they're there to help you. They know that Integrity Data has a payroll solution for Business Central, and the HRP solution we're talking about today is the same for Business Central. So it's an easy transition from one system to the other if you decide to go there. But it's nice to have these testimonials from clients that were on GP and moved to BC and have enjoyed the transition from both sides. How can you connect with us at Integrity Data? One of the things you're like, why did you guys think of this pug and donut? It's really cute. So this pug is great because that's the name of our Facebook, Dynamics HR Pug. So it stands for Payroll User Group, short-term PUG. If you want to get connected with us today, all you have to do is go to our Facebook page. I'm just going to bring it up. And it's very informational around what is happening with Integrity Data, as in webinars. Yesterday, we had a year-end webinar. It might be some fun things about how we do a lot of volunteering at Integrity Data. Wishing you a happy Thanksgiving and just telling you, hey, we're at this event, come join us. So there's a lot of things that we put in there, informational, and also just to know us as a company. So I'm going to turn this back to Pam if there is any questions.
Hi, guys. You can put questions in the chat window. Who has questions for us?
I know some questions that come up, and let me just go back a few while we're just waiting for those to come in. Hold on for 1 second. I think I might have missed a page here. So also, I wanted to just quickly talk about pricing. Of course, you would go to your partner, ask for price, and they would provide it. Our pricing is subscription-based pricing. We don't require any contracts. So there's no contracts. When you purchase the solution, use it for 3 months, and I hopefully use it for the next 3 years. But if that 3 months comes up and maybe you get acquired and your company uses something else and you need to stop using the software, you do not have any long contracts to get out of. You just have to send that formal type of email letter saying that we are no longer using the system. Can we please stop our subscription, and we'll stop it for you. So that's a nice little piece on our end, I think, because sometimes when you do subscriptions, they require a 2-year contract and you can't get out of it. But with times changing and people acquiring, and that's where, it's a nice thing to have. When your business is changing, you don't have to worry about that. Just to talk a little bit, Pam, while we're waiting for some questions, so I know you guys have a lot out there, don't be shy. When you do the onboarding experience with us, we do a welcome call. That will be with you and your partner. We do a kickoff call to make sure that we have everything within the scope. We look at the average implementation about 3 months. So that, on the low end, it could be, it could take 6 months, depending on which piece of that pie that we saw that you want to implement, and what do you have on staff to help you kind of say, how do we formulate this as a business? So sometimes it might take longer, but we've seen on the average that it takes about 3 months. And then, like I mentioned, our subscription. So I just want to mention that with pricing, that there are no long contracts.
Wonderful. So, okay, we have a couple.
Great.
And Stacey, I think that you've gone through this, but it's a little confusing with the timeline. I think you actually had a slide. Can we go back and look at your slide for the timeline?
Absolutely. We're talking about the Microsoft timeline, right?
Yes, ma'am, of course, because it's a little bit new, and I think it came up as a little bit of a surprise to people.
Oh, okay. And I can understand that because, there's been so much talk about Microsoft GP in the community. So timeline, guys. Currently, right now, you own these solutions. Come March of 2022, Integrity Data will own these solutions, meaning that we will own Advanced Payroll, Advanced HR, PTO Manager, Payroll Extensions. And now what's included in Payroll Extensions is deductions in arrear, payroll integrations to Payable, which I'm pretty sure a majority of you use, and overtime rate manager. What that means is that instead of us, which we have been developing this code for, hand it over to Microsoft, we're just going to keep it now back in-house as of March of 2022. And I hope that's still, you guys are following on that. And if don't ask questions, go for it.
So we have a number of people who are really excited about the onboarding feature. We have a number of colleges and universities who onboard students, new students every year, right?
Yeah. Thank God. I can't wait to get rid of mine. January 9th, go back to school.
Could you talk to us a little bit about onboarding a large number of, well, employees and or students, and what that process looks like, and what support you offer for that?
So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So it depends on how the school wants to, if they are a student and it's a new position for them, but they're already in the system, they would just need to change their role in the system. Okay. If they're a new student overall starting a position on campus, they would need to fill out the applicant process, meaning that maybe that they say, the HR person say, okay, go to our website, here's the link, they filled it out there. And then they would fill out whatever questions that that school has, because every question might be different for every school. So you can tailor it based on, the way you want to, because one school might be different from the other. And they would just go through that process. If they wanted to make it quicker, because maybe they're on a, I'm not going to use a correct word here, is a grant where they're working for the school, but they still want them in the system. The HR person can tailor that based on how they want that person to onboard. Does that make sense? Or did that answer somebody's question, I should say? So they would still go through that applicant process, clicking on a link and just going through each step that they need, because then it will bring them to say, yes, they're accepted. We give them, the paperwork they need to fill out.
Wonderful. Thank you. I will say that this is a lot of information to digest. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to talk a little bit about what we're going to do in next steps. First and foremost, we're going to make this webinar available, and we'll send everyone a link. Number two, I believe that you have some documentation that we can make available.
Yep.
That will be wonderful, and we can send that to everyone as well. Number three, we'd like to circle back around and go in a little bit more detail about the wonderful features that the roadmap's going to offer us. It looks like you have some really good plans to enhance functionality. And I'd like to do another webinar going in a little bit more detail. We talked about the February timeframe. Can you please verify the let's see here, date and time?
Yes, February 15th, same date and time. And what we'll do is we're going to actually have Danny, who I consider my superhero demo person, do the demo. He's like, that's not my title, Stacey. I know it's not your title, Danny, but that's what you are. You're my superhero. And he'll dive into actually the product. I showed you the screenshots, but he'll actually go through in the demo, being that HR person, being that manager, being that employee. He'll show you the screens. Okay, what happens when I click on this? Where does it go? He'll show you how you can tailor the system by saying, I don't want to see this, you can see this. It will be a high level demo, but I always say, go to your partner. If this is really something that you want to see beyond the high level, let's do a little discovery call, and then let's dive deep based on what your business wants to tailor it to.
Okay, wonderful. So with that, I know that everyone jumped on here, and I know we're right before the holidays. And Stacey, you've spent some wonderful time with us and given us some great information. I'd like to give people back 15 minutes. Maybe they could actually go out to lunch today.
So everybody needs 15 minutes during the holidays, right?
Yeah, maybe actually sneak out, sit down at a restaurant and have, a nice sit down lunch. So we're going to give you back 15 minutes with this. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will follow up with you with, of course, a video and some more information. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Stacy.
Thanks.